post, I might still do it. So you know the reface app?
We're starting soon.
Yeah, come watch the game.
Oh, is that how you did the Warriors one?
Yeah. So you know the scene in Anchorman when they're when Veronica and Ron Burgundy are like closing the show. And stay classy, San Diego. And she's like,
go
fucking one. No.
Oh,
When they're like
you're a
fighting with each other.
dirty pirate hooker. That'd be a good one.
You have a dirty hooker mouth. I think I wanted to be like what the actual conversation was.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
Scraggly, sounds good.
Oh, look at me. Look at Wally. My man Wally the Green Monster was out there showing out.
Alright. Alright, when you guys are ready. Yeah, take it down. Yeah, they have mad Pokemon cards in stock on Pokemon Center right now.
Ooh. New ones?
They just sold out of Evolving Skies, but there's some tins that have them in it and some boxes that they have Evolving Skies. I bought one. I bought the V-Fusion Zacian box.
You son of a bitch.
It comes with the Evolving Skies. It comes to find out 3 of the boxes I reserved, like at GameStop. Oh shit.
You ain't getting them? Oh. Huh? Already? Jeez. That set's not even out yet.
Yo, Rhino, they can hear our audio, dog.
What?
they just.
Welcome to the Fantasy Dad Show live on Facebook and Twitch, hosted by Ryan Rhino Kennedy, Kevin Giroux, and Seamus the Moose Anderson.
What's up, everybody? It's the Fantasy Dads back at you on Tuesday night for the Transaction Tuesday show. I'm here with my boy, Kev Smirks Davis. Some of you
What's poppin', Moose?
Mr. Rue, the Giroux. Bro, big waiver show tonight. Big waiver show. Some big implications this week happened. Some big injuries. But how you doing, man? How was your weekend?
Great. Better than usual. I actually went like almost 500 this week. You know, can't complain there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been brutal. Needless to say, it's been a little brutal.
Yeah, it's
But I got one team that I'm really high on, so we'll stick with that.
good, good. Yeah, it was a rough weekend. I was at the game, and it was I mean, obviously a ton of fun, but it was definitely a tough night. Definitely a tough night. To be honest with you, Kev, I'm gonna be honest. I tried to watch as much of the other games as I could throughout the day at the tailgate. I tried to, obviously watch some games afterward. Last night. But honestly, dude, I was so concerned with how emotional I was gonna be when I saw Tom Brady step out on the field that it was tough to watch a lot of the games but yeah, I mean, most of what I went through is I woke up on Monday and saw who boomed and who didn't. Right. So like it was
Right,
kind of
right,
just
right.
like I mean, it was good to not worry for a little bit, but now I'm like, I feel like I'm behind 5 days. So yeah, uh, I had an okay weekend. I lost some games I definitely should have won. And I won some matchups that I probably shouldn't have. So, and as you guys can hear, my voice is still an absolute mess from Sunday. And I've been drinking tea all day to try to make it a little better. So you're all just gonna have to deal
Ooh.
with it. But thank you all for watching the show. If you're on the stream right now, please hit the like button, smash that share button, let people know that we're on. It always helps us out, and we want to give as many people fantasy advice as we can. We do too many hours of research already to not get paid for this shit. So do us a favor, share it, let your friends know, let your uncles know, hide your wives, all that good stuff. We have an awesome show lined up for you as usual. Me and Kev will be running through the injuries from Sunday. Obviously, you guys know about the big injury on Thursday to DJ Chark. We talked a little bit. I believe you guys talked a little bit about that Sunday. So we'll be running through those. We're going to do a sad boys segment. I'm sure you can kind of figure out what that means. And then we're going to go right into waiver priority. And we'll do some buy low candidates and sell high candidates. They always change week in and week out. So it's always important to get to those. Smirks, why don't you give us the injury update? There's one injury here
Yes,
that
sir.
I'm not looking forward to you reading, but
It's a
it's
big
gonna have to
one.
be done.
It's a big one, man. I'm glad you had a good time on Sunday. That's the way she goes, though, with the
Yeah,
voice
man.
situation. Is what it is. Means you had a good time.
I did.
So
Yes.
we got the biggest one, David Montgomery. He left the field in a great amount of pain. They kind of carried him off. It looked like it could have been serious. But then the camera panned to him walking under his own power on the sideline. Turns out it's just a knee sprain, but he's still going to miss 4 to 5 weeks with that. I'm not sure which ligament it is, but it doesn't really matter. It's 4 to 5 weeks without David Montgomery, who had himself a game before that injury, 2 touchdowns. He 22 PPR points, I believe, 22 or 24.
Yeah.
So that's huge. It's a huge blow to the Bears, huge blow to your teams. He's a solid RB2 flex play, solid as you can get. And we'll be talking about what you're going to do with that once
Oh
we
yes.
get to the waiver section.
Oh yes.
Also, this one was from Thursday night as well. I'm not sure if we touched on it on Sunday, though, because we had no information really about what it was. But they're calling him, I mean, his coach said he's day to day. Reports came from someone saying he's week to week. But Joe Mixon has a low grade ankle sprain.
Yeah.
So it's really just going to be a matter of his pain tolerance kind of deal, as it's not the high ankle variety. So I think he ends up missing maybe just a game, Moose.
Yeah.
But we've seen how Mixon can kind of just be held out a little bit. Like last year he hurt. I know that was a much more complicated foot injury, but he never came back. They kept saying, oh, maybe a couple more weeks, and he never came back. So it's just something to keep an eye on. And then another big one from Sunday. It's a big blow to the Denver Broncos because they're a really good team this year. I think they had a chance to compete, and Drew Lock just doesn't quite have what Teddy B does leading that offense. He's a little too mistake prone. He's in the concussion protocol, so he'll probably end up missing a week. Maybe not though. It's not a guarantee. But it's tough if they end up going out there and losing this week because they gotta go with their backup, and it could be a downgrade to like a Noah Fant or even their run game as well. I think that was really it from Sunday as far as major injuries go. I don't think it was too bad of a week besides Montgomery.
Yeah, no, Montgomery was the big one, especially after such a good week. He finished the RB5 on the week, and it really was. And I think we had talked a little bit about it last week. I know you guys talked about it on Sunday, if I know you guys at all, that this was going to be like his breakout game. And I'm so glad that it was. Like, really, I was so happy for the dude. I was obviously happy for the teams I have him on because I was very high on David Montgomery and will continue to be so after this injury. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate. I'm glad it wasn't anything worse. It's great news for him. It's great news for the Bears. And again, for our fantasy team. So yeah, it's fairly unfortunate that this was the game that he decided to break out on. And then this goes and happens. Like you said, we're going to talk about that a little more. Joe Mixon, I think you were spot on. So yeah, as far as any other
Right.
injuries, I know they even said that Damien, we'll mention his name now, but we're going to bring it up later. Damien Williams also had a thigh bruise. But like, I mean, what I don't even know what that means. So,
Yeah,
right.
I don't think he's expected to miss time.
Right. No, I don't think so at all. So, yeah, in regards to overall injuries, I think it was an okay week. We have CMC possibly coming back this week, and we can get into more of the coming back injuries when the details come out on Friday, right? Because we only know so much. It's a Tuesday, so
Yeah, I think we'll start getting practice reports Wednesday. Practices usually run from Wednesday through Friday. So we'll start seeing who's back at practice, who's not. We'll be looking at like a Chase Claypool, Christian McCaffrey, guys like that. But we don't have no one's got the information yet.
Right, exactly. So, what's up, Bobby and Jordan? Both of the Carlo brothers are in here. Thanks for joining the show, fellas. Hit that share button and stick along. Ask us any waiver questions you might have. I'm sure you guys have trade questions. I know Jordan already said to Bobby, give me Najee. So that's definitely going to pop up too. We'll get right into the sad boys. So, sad boys,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, who makes you sad, man? Who's been making you sad all season? You can even do it by, this last week. For the last week, I could say CeeDee Lamb made me a sad boy, man. But we'll do season up until now. We're a quarter, just under a quarter of the way, technically speaking. But I'll go first, Kev. One of my sad boys, man. I have two because I just couldn't pick one, Kev. And this first one is Myles Gaskin. He's just been so upsetting all year. And to be honest with you, I think we all sort of saw the writing on the wall before the season started when Flores said it's going to be a committee. But Gaskin is so good, man. Do you remember last year? Like, fill up the tank on the gas, man, dude. We were so amped for him. And it's just been so upsetting. He's finished inside the top 25 just once, and it was against a New England defense that has not been great against the run all year. He finished the running back 34, the 30, and then the 80 against the Colts with just three rushing yards, man, on two rushes. Like, I just don't know what happened and what went wrong with Gaskin and Flores that it's like this now. But it's been so upsetting. And to be honest with you, it's hard to decipher what to do with him moving forward. Nobody wants him. You can't drop him, though. Like, you can't drop him, right? Do you think you can drop him? Because
getting close, man. Another game like that. He's going against Tampa, too. That's not going to help. But it's weird. It's weird that maybe there's got to be something behind the scenes or a possible injury we don't know about. Because his snap percentage, 54, 61, 52. Sunday was 23. He had first three games, 5 targets, 6 targets. Sunday he wasn't targeted at all. So there's got to be something wrong that we don't really know about. Or they don't trust him in pass protection, maybe. I don't know what it is.
Right.
Really hasn't been anything coming out about it.
No, not that I've no beat writers I've seen nothing have a single clue as to what's going on with this dude. The problem, Kev, is that with a running back as high profile as he was last year and as usable, I just don't think you can drop him yet. Because I don't know who on the waiver wire, other than some names we're going to bring up later, are worth it more than him. There are a couple.
Probably be only one guy that I would actually add over him. Maybe one of the receivers.
Okay.
But if you didn't have a receiver, you could drop.
But say Malcolm Brown goes down, dude, like because he's obviously getting the goal line touches. Say he goes down, like, do you think they're gonna go with Ahmed more? I don't know. I don't know how to decipher it, but for the time being, my advice, and I own him in 3 leagues, so I'm following this own advice. I'll let you guys know when I drop him. All you guys will be the first to know. But I just can't find a reason to drop him yet. He's still somewhat of a committee back, and but you can't play him. You can't play him, and I don't think you're going to get much trade value for him. And if you do, it's going to be for somebody that's been picked up off the wire the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm a sad boy because of it. So
so am I.
We'll get on to yours.
I'm with you on that one. Mine is more really like not necessarily the first few weeks, but this past week and then upcoming weeks, really, for Chris Carson. He got 13 carries again. He didn't do much with it. He lost some work to Alex Collins this week, who looked like the better running back. And now I just got a notification that said he didn't practice today with a neck injury.
God.
He did not. He's a DNP at practice Tuesday because of a neck injury. Seattle plays the Rams on Thursday. So I'm real sad about it. I'm sad about it. He was a rock solid RB2 for like the first 2-3 weeks, mainly on touchdowns, but the passing game usage we saw last year is really gone. It's not great. It's not ideal. And the fact that he got 13 carries, only turning into 30 yards this past week, I'm definitely nervous about Chris Carson. I never really bought into Alex Collins as being like a reliable running back that you can count on, but I would definitely add him with what's going on right now. Even if he plays Thursday, let's say he plays, how much can we trust him?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can.
After last week and coming off of possible injury, can we trust him against the Rams defense?
No. And here's the thing though, Kev. You go ahead and you pick Alex Collins up if you're a Chris Carson owner. Like if you're a Chris Carson owner, like I would go and get Alex Collins. If you had a high priority, would you do the same thing over, some of these other guys? I'm not so sure. I mean, obviously Penny's on injured reserve, right? And I'm not entirely sure when he gets back. Yeah, no, he's just headed to the IR not too long ago. So no, he's out. So it's Alex Collins. But against the Rams, dude, unless you're a Chris Carson owner and you have nobody else, like you have no options at all, you miss out on 2 of the running backs we're going to mention tonight. Unless you miss out on those guys, I'm not playing Alex Collins. I'll pick him up because that a neck injury with Chris Carson, you definitely want to watch out for that because he's missed time over the years. With injuries, and so at that point, he misses at least 1 or 2 games a year. Last year he missed 4. So in his rookie year, he obviously only played 4 games. So I can't remember if that was to injury or what have you, but I'm fairly certain it was. Yeah, that's a scary thought. That's scary. Chris Carson, they were supposed to run the ball all year, man. The Seahawks, and we had talked about it. We didn't know if they were going to run the ball, they were going to throw the ball more. It's clear that they can't run the ball more because of this. So, anything else you want to say about Chris Carson?
Nope. Just he got me in my feelings. I'm a sad boy.
Yeah.
He's my RB2 on a team that really could use that consistency. It was there early on in the year, 3 touchdowns, but I'm not so sure what we're going to see going forward.
Yeah. All right. I do have one more, man, that I just absolutely have to mention. I can't hold my tongue anymore. It's somebody that we were expecting. I mean,
Yeah,
just
he's near and dear to my heart.
so many good things from, and I know what people are gonna say, and I'm not freaking out just yet, but like I know people are trying to move him. And I don't necessarily blame you, and it's Calvin Ridley, man. So the only league I actually got him in, the Wi-Fi went down in the house that I was at a drafting party during my second round pick. Now, I would have picked DeAndre Hopkins, but I didn't have the chance to, so I had to pick Calvin Ridley. Both have been mediocre at best in terms of fantasy value for where you picked them this year. Calvin Ridley's the 22, DeAndre Hopkins the 24 on the year in PPR. Calvin Ridley I just think it's his quarterback right now, and I think it's the offensive scheme. Cordero Patterson seems to be the best player fantasy value wise um, in Atlanta. It's upsetting, and I don't really know what to do with it. I'm gonna hold on Ridley unless I can get a great running back for him. But I know what you're gonna say. But Moose, he's top 6 in targets. He's got 42 on the year. Like I know, and it sucks that especially the last 2 weeks, 11 targets, 13 targets. Like that's significant. You'll give up a lot for a guy that gets that amount of targets, right? A Cooper Cup, a Keenan Allen, a DJ Moore, a Debo Samuel, even. So it's upsetting to see that Calvin's not getting the production that we thought he would. And it's clear. I think it's because of his quarterback. I don't. Do you have anything to say about Calvin Ridley? What do you do? That's like at this
I
point, it's
mean,
like
he's fine. He's still giving you double digits every week in a PPR, but I had him ranked as the third wide receiver coming into the year. So I had him behind just Adams and Diggs, or Adams and Hill. So for me, it hurts, man. I'm with you, but I do think he just, if you look at last year, he was a touchdown machine. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He had 9. Right now he's stuck at 1. We're going into the 5th week already. I think if they can figure it out in the red zone, it's not going to be Cordell Patterson 3 times every game. They're going to figure it out. Ridley will have at least 6 or 7 by the end of the year. Kyle Pitts, they're going to figure him out. These guys are too talented to just not sort things out. And I don't think it's all Matt Ryan's fault. Is he every year? Does his arm decline a little bit? Sure, but I think he's still in better shape than Big Ben, and I wouldn't full on panic yet on Calvin Ridley because you're still getting a volume and you're still getting at least double digits in a PPR. It's not what you want, but I think it'll be all right. And it could happen. I think he may have his first legit like blow up game this week in London against the Jets.
well,
They're not good.
no, they're
Tennessee
very much
just
not good.
also is not good. What we
Right.
learned.
Now, let me throw out some names because I know he's one of the hottest names on the block right now. And like I said, you're trading low right out of him. If you can get a Saquon Barkley for Calvin Ridley,
You are
you
not going to get a Saquon Barkley
right.
for Calvin
Okay,
Ridley.
so let's move down the line a little bit. So if you can get a Darrell Henderson, are you trading Calvin Ridley?
It just depends on what else I'm working with. If I'm desperate.
If
Well,
you're desperate.
if
Yeah.
my RB, if I just lost David Montgomery, then yeah, maybe I would do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, that's the
It's
situation
just
I'm in.
it's a by a team by team basis whether or not I would let him go for because I think in the long run, Calvin, you win that trade if you get Calvin Ridley for Henderson, given the makeup of your team. If you can afford to give up Henderson, but
That's fair. Yeah. Like I don't think many people are even trading running backs right now. Like it's few and
man,
far
if
it's
you
few
if
and
you have
far
2 or
between.
3 healthy ones, you got to hold on to them at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't disagree, man. Listen, as much as I love the idea that Calvin Ridley will get better throughout the season, I just I'm not losing faith yet. I don't think. I mean, it's not like his schedule like he has some games where he can win you weeks, man. He's got Miami, Carolina, even Dallas, I'd say, unless he's unless he's got Trayvon Diggs, because that man's an absolute monster right now. What he's doing is just nothing short of incredible. And they got Detroit in what would be a semifinal week, so maybe he can figure it out there. But yeah, it's not been fun. Draft capital, we say it doesn't matter now, but the only time it matters is when it's hindsight and you say, well, shit, I could have taken, Najee there. I could have taken Joe Mixon there. I'm not gonna go as far as to say I would have taken Clyde Edwards-Helaire there, but he's been popping off the last couple weeks too. Do you, any other sad boys that you got?
I could just keep going on and on and on, but we don't need all that.
All right, cool.
We only got an hour. My whole team in League of Record could be considered a sad boy season right now. We don't need to get into it. I've already talked about those guys.
That's all right. You beat us in the legacy. You beat me in the legacy league.
Yeah, I finally won, and it cost David Montgomery his kneecaps. You see what happens when I win, dude? Who's it gonna be next week? Am I gonna lose Adams, bro? What's gonna happen next?
Are you fucking kidding
I'm
me?
just cursing the whole squad.
That's so bad. Geez. All right. Well, let's move on. It looks like we still have some viewers here. Make sure you guys share it for us. Like it. Follow all our social platforms. You can find us anywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at the Fantasy Dads. We did just hit 1,000 followers on TikTok. In one day, I think we had over 100-something thousand views on a couple of videos. It was the day of the football game. I did get to go live for a couple of minutes, but man, it was an ugly affair.
You did go live, Moose? We didn't see it.
I did, yeah. I got, I don't know how many viewers. I don't think it told me how many viewers were on, but I just kept seeing people joining, and I, honest to God, was just like, I don't know how to do this.
Like, was the game already started at that point?
Oh, it was in the middle of the game. Yeah, it was ruthless. It was already dark out, yeah, and as you can see, the Red Sox game is on as well. Go Sox. If you're watching the Sox game and watching us, that's dope. You're our people, because we know this is a tight spot for everyone to be in. And let me know what the score is if anybody scores, Kev, because I was not able to bring it up on my computer.
I just keep taking a glance over the shoulder because it's a raucous crowd over there at Fenway right now.
I'm sure it is.
Mr. Big Scoop just got on base. I think it was a walk.
Big Scoop, that's fine. They don't ask Hal. They don't ask Hal. They ask how many. But yeah, if you can get on TikTok, follow us, man. We went from 985 followers to 1,080 in a day. So we're blowing up. We're going quick. We're putting some funny stuff out there. And thank you to all those that did follow us. We really appreciate it. We'll be going live every Sunday before the game on TikTok. After our stream here, we'll have somebody on answering all the questions you need for fantasy, helping you tinker last minute. But we all know the commandments, so tinker lightly. All right, let's get right into it. We got about 35 minutes left here, Kev. Let's get into the waiver priority. We'll start with the first guy. Everybody that has David Montgomery should be going after him. If you have a guy that's an RB2 like Myles Gaskin because you waited too long in the draft, this is also somebody you should be immediately going after.
I'd say probably everybody's going to be going after him because
right,
he could probably be a solid flex in a lot of lineups.
Yeah, he could, and that's Damien Williams. David Montgomery is going to be out the next 4 to 5 weeks, and that's I'm gonna be honest. I read into that, and I was like, that's not too bad. But he's got a sprained kneecap, and if we know anything, I know it's a different joint, but if we know anything about sprained ankles, they're horrible, right? I haven't heard of many knee sprains. I can't imagine that injury isn't going to take a little bit of rehab to recover from, right? So that definitely worries me a little bit. So Damie Williams, he has to be the guy for those that lost Monty. He will get a minimum of 12 to 15 touches. He's a starting running back now. So in regards to Fab, right? I just wanted to bring this up quick, and then you can speak about him. If you're not a David Montgomery owner, did he just hit a home run?
Yeah, Xander Bogaerts, 2-run job.
Let's go, Xander. Let's go, Z. Sorry, we're a football show, but we're from Boston, baby. Let's go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this guy's chugging a beer.
Yeah, we're all chugging beer.
You love to see it, bro. Old show. I'm just
chugging beers.
chugging La Croix over here. But,
That's right. Rashad Baltimore.
Brings you the boss.
Back to Damien Williams. If you play in a league where you have to spend fab, if you don't know where that is, know what that is. Fab is an amount of money you have at the beginning of the year, and you get to basically silent auction, right, on a player on waivers. That's kind of how this works. So if you do, and you're a Montgomery owner, I would spend at least 15 to maybe even 25%. I would go as far as 25, depending on your running back situation. If you're not an owner of David Montgomery, I probably wouldn't spend more than 10 to 15%. He logged 33% of the snaps this last weekend, had a touchdown, 55 rush yards, and 6.99 yards per carry. And he is definitely a capable pass catcher, as we've seen in the past. So, yeah, he's our number one target. Anything you want to say about him, Kev?
Mainly, I mean, he's a must-add, starting running back. But after this week against the Raiders, which is a great matchup, would love to get him in as a flex or your RB2 if you can. But then he has Green Bay and Tampa Bay, not quite as simple. So, I mean, that's why, basically, if you don't have to, I wouldn't blow all your fab on him. Because given, I mean, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, those aren't great, and then it's a bye. My guess is Montgomery comes back after the bye. And that's when the schedule softens up a little bit. It'll soften up for Montgomery, not for Williams. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to spend a decent chunk on him, especially if you own Montgomery. But I would temper expectations to week 6 and 7 for sure.
Yeah, and it brings up a good point about David Montgomery. I bet in about 3 weeks' time we'll be talking about trading for him to teams that are like needing an RB immediately, and one of those guys we'll probably talk about is Damien Williams. I just wanted to read this quick. This was per Field Yates on Twitter. Obviously, with Damien being up, as the next man, they got to talk about him. He said he has 6 career games with 12 plus carries, and in those games, he's averaged 21.3 fantasy points, 6.1 yards per rush, and scored 4 rushing touchdowns. That's significant because he will get more than 12 carries a game with the Bears. I can almost guarantee that. I can't guarantee he'll get over 20 fantasy points against those defenses, but he's definitely somebody that you can immediately play, right? He's one of those waiver ads where he is playable.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you don't have David Montgomery and you need
especially this week, man, against the Raiders.
Yeah, 100%.
Sure.
So I mean, I think that's all we got to say about Damien. He's a must add. The next guy I want to talk about is actually, do you have any running backs you want to talk about before we get into wide receivers?
We got to touch on Kenneth Gainwell if he's available. Well, let me go check out, what his ownership is in ESPN. I was on Sleeper right there for a second, but it's way lower than it needs to be for this kid. He's not even handling, he's not commanding a crazy amount of touches right now. I mean, he had 9 touches, but 6 of them were receptions last week on 8 targets. So, if it's going to be a competitive game, which a lot of these, I mean, we got Carolina, Tampa, Las Vegas, Detroit, the Chargers. I mean, there's going to be a lot of games where the Eagles probably won't win that handily. Gainwell, they seem to prefer to have him on the field. Or Sanders is almost an afterthought. Another guy we could be a sad boy about, but I didn't draft him anywhere anyway. Because, I mean, he wasn't a good value where you were getting him anyways. But yeah, man, you gotta grab this kid. He's a talent. And this past week wasn't the first time we've seen it. Right out of the gate, week 1, scored a touchdown. And now the targets went up to 8. So I think before his role grows even more, you got to get him. He's still only 35% owned.
Yeah. And I mean, in the average he's owned is 27%. So depending on what app you're looking at, I mean, that's pretty high. And the other thing too is, like you said, it's going to grow. This kid is he's a good football player, man. And he's got some juicy lineups coming up against the Raiders, Detroit, and the Chargers. And then by then you maybe even be able to dish him off to somebody you believe more in going into the rest of the season in the playoffs. He's the RB 25 on the year right now. And I keep mentioning where they're at, but I think it's important that you guys know. I know it's not going to end like that. Like Rhino, who's on the stream right now, in the chat, just said Darren Sproles 2.0, and I think that's a perfect comparison to it. Like, honestly, he's just a serviceable dude, and he's going to continue to be so for this team. So 100%. I agree. Go get Kenneth Gainwell. You should have gotten him already. We've been talking about him for weeks, to be honest, man. We've been talking
Yeah,
about him for weeks. He should be owned in every single league.
by
I'm
pretty much
fairly
every league.
certain. Yeah, the
Where
one right, the one league I don't think he's owned in my my silo right now is a league where it's an 8 team. So there's not much wiggle room on the bench to be owning him. But yeah, 10 team leagues, 12 team leagues, he should be owned. He should be stashed, and you can play him. I think you can play him. I don't think you can expect the world out of the kid, right? Like, you can't expect the world out of him, but you
I
could
think he's
definitely.
just like he might be a slightly better version of Naeem Hines right now.
That's a
Because
good,
I mean, Hines has Taylor ahead of him. Huge prospect, mega prospect. Miles Sanders, his last 2 games, he's gone 9 rushes for 40 yards, and that's it. Like, I mean, he's not super involved in the passing game. It just seems like he doesn't fit what this offense wants to do as well as Gainwell does. So I think he's like an even better version of Naeem Hines right now. That's what we're looking at with Gainwell.
That sucks too. I played Naeem Hines over Damian Harris this week, and I asked you guys on the stream. I already made my mind.
Yeah,
up.
we told a lot of people to start Naeem Hines.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the game script and everything should have worked out for him, and it just didn't. So that shit happens. You know what I mean? Like that. If we had $1 for every time we made a call that
Hey.
should have been right, we'd be rich and we'd be doing this in the same studio by now. So
Yeah, I
just is
knew it
what
would
it is.
be a great day, Moose, for Jonathan Taylor, but I thought Hines would eat too. It didn't work out that way. It is what it is. We move on.
That's right. We move the chains around here.
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
real quick before you get into the wide receivers, we need to, in order to pick these guys up, you got to drop somebody, and I can come up with a name right off the top of my head who's still 75% owned and was a healthy scratch this week, and that is Tyson Williams. If you weren't able to trade him after that, I'm not. What game was it? Was not the Raiders? Yeah, I think it was the Raiders
Detroit.
when he ripped off.
Oh,
He ripped.
yeah.
Nah, the one when he actually looked good and you could sell him. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know why they don't want to use him. Maybe it's pass protection. Maybe he doesn't really know the offense that well, because I know he botched an exchange with Lamar and the option, all that. But he's definitely ran better than these veterans they're plugging in there. Latavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell got some work this week. He didn't do anything. But he was a healthy scratch, man. That's not good. I mean, I think you can let go of him for one of these guys we mentioned for sure.
Oh, I think you can get rid of Tyson Williams for pennies on the dollar at this point. I think they're done with him. Latavius Murray's the clear back there, and we'll talk about him next a little bit. And then maybe one other guy. We kind of mentioned him tonight, but Jordan did have a question. Thanks again for joining, Jordan. So he said, is Gibson and Deontay Johnson for Zeke and Michael Thomas fair? I need a running back, and the other guy needs a wide receiver. You have a running back. I'm not giving up on Gibson yet. I listen, I love Zeke and I love what he's doing right now. He's the RB6 on the season. But we don't even know if Michael Thomas is actually going to play, where you already have a solidified running back in Gibson and Deontay Johnson.
And you
right?
have an absolute target hog.
Right.
Like
Deontay, he's the
the
guy.
only guy. The only guy who I think will provide you, well, Najee too, because he's just getting 15 dump offs a game, but Deontay's the guy there.
Right. Like I wouldn't trade away Deontay Johnson for somebody you don't know is going to play. Right? If you had a guy like Devontae Parker, KJ Osborne, Sterling Shepard, Kenny Galladay, I would maybe think about that trade getting Zeke, but right? Like you know what I'm saying though? Like a guy that you don't know, right? Week in and week out, what's going to happen with him. Like in that case, yeah, you can make that deal. You can go and get Zeke, but you're giving up a bona fide wide receiver one. And as much as I know you want to make that move, I don't think I would. Yeah, no, Rhino, we would trade Gibson for Zeke 100% too, but we wouldn't give Tay Johnson up with it. Oh, Jordan said my other wide receivers are target hogs too, and I don't feel comfortable with Terry and Gibson. That's tough. What would you say to that, Kev? He's got Jesus, Jordan.
I think he told us about this team on Sunday. The team's absolutely stacked. He has Diggs. Right. He has fucking Terry.
And Devontae.
Yeah, go ahead.
Devontae Adams.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you have Diggs, Adams? How do you what happened?
Yeah, Jordan, is that a 10?
I think he explained it to us, but I don't remember.
You probably did, Jordan. I'm sorry. I have a short attention
span.
Yeah,
go ahead and
after.
Go ahead and do that then. If you have even just Diggs and McLaurin, I'm like, all right, get rid of Deontay. Go get Zeke. Whatever.
10-man Jordo. Yo, Jordo, kick a couple of those guys out next year. Let's up the ante and get me in there, dude, because that's crazy. Also, good for you. What a draft you had. He paid money for them. That's fine. You obviously paid the right amount. Wait, did you pay somebody to trade you them? Jordan, did you pay somebody to trade you them? Did you give away somebody? What happened there?
That sounds like some collusion or something, dude. What are we fucking talking about here?
Are you
auction? Wait, paid money like was it an auction draft and he just like dropped the hammer on these guys?
I don't know. He said, "Nah, I didn't." Ooh, Bobby DeCarlo's the one that's it's brotherly love at its finest. I want to know what happened with that. If it's auction, you won the auction.
I'm confused, but anyway.
Okay. In that case, you can absolutely trade Gibson and Tay Johnson. Take the chance on Michael Thomas and get Zeke. Yeah, you'll. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot.
Okay,
I forgot.
Bobby
told us. He told us Sunday morning. He was asking who to start. He said he had Diggs on his bench, and we were like, no. Diggs can't be on the bench. Can't happen.
Yeah, no.
So now it won't have to.
He's only got more than 110 points once. That must be half PPR.
Yeah, but
crazy. But
he's gonna score a touchdown eventually.
Yeah,
the guy is still a top 5 wide receiver in the league.
Yeah. Don't be worried, Jordan. That wide receiver, yeah, you can absolutely trade for a better running back. Sure.
He has 1 touchdown. Yeah, he's done 10 targets though, 2 games in a row, 7 for 114. He's got the Chiefs and he's got Tennessee coming up. He's gonna eat, bro. Diggs can't be on the bench.
Definitely not. So moving on. So far for running backs, covered Damian Williams, Kenneth Gainwell, Latavius Murray. I think earlier we kind of touched on Alex Collins. I just don't know how much you guys are hurting. If you are hurting enough and you think you should pick him up, let us know and let us know who you have to drop. With that being said, we'll move on to wide receivers, man. And this one, listen, the first thing I want to say about wide receivers that I think everybody should understand, because it doesn't always make sense. Wide receivers, first of all, never make sense. And the reason why is because they are not consistent. Wide receivers will never, ever, ever, ever be consistent. I'm looking at all of you because I'm trying to look and see myself in the camera because I need to listen to this myself. They will never be consistent. Running backs, this is why there's such a high priority for running backs early on in the season. This is why people should take the no running back strategy. I want to know how all y'all are doing. I do, because I can't imagine if you fixed your team by now, then kudos to you. So we'll focus on some wide receivers that I think you can probably pick up and play immediately, depending on your situation. And just remember, just because you drafted the guy does not mean you have to play him. It's kind of the time in the year, Kev. Everyone's kind of getting their bearings on offense. You're kind of understanding who's being used, who's not. I want to talk about the guys we can play, and I want to talk about some worries we have too. We'll go on that real quick. But the first guy I want to talk about is Hunter Renfro. I mean, the guy, first off, is unbelievable. He's the wide receiver 21 on the year. He is an absolute stud. It's
Edelman.
He is, though. Like, he is.
This
like
is Edelman.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, he's been the wide receiver 15 and the wide receiver 23.
The targets are there.
I mean, the targets are there. 9 targets, 7 targets, 6 targets, 8 targets. I mean,
And
the
he
first
scored.
he scored the last 2 weeks. Like, this is a dude that you can play. This is like you were thinking of Corey Davis. Guess what? You got Hunter Renfro too. You know what I mean? Like, you got a Tyler Boyd. Guess what? I got a Hunter Renfro. Like, and I know they've had their good weeks, their bad weeks. But what do you say about Hunter Renfro, and like, are you trying to get him in any leagues? Is he available? Is he even available in any leagues you're in? I mean, he's only owned in 35% of leagues, which is very low, but he will be picked up. That number will jump drastically in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, man. I think he's an every week wide receiver 2, 3, flex, whatever you need him to be. You can plug him in every week. I think that we're at that point where he's like a Julian Edelman right now, and you can use him every week. That China route that he runs is bonkers, bro. No one seems to be able to stop that.
Nope.
And I thought it was just like some dumbass preseason hype coming out that he was cooking Jalen Ramsey, but I mean it looks pretty real. He's shaking people out of their shoes right now. He just doesn't look like a football player, but he sure is. Did you see the tackle on the fake punt last night? That guy came from like 20 yards. He was the returner. He came out of nowhere, leveled the guy. Just a good football player, man. Definitely a must add.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Edelman, because I haven't thought about his his wide receiver ability as Edelman. But when he did that, when he made that hit, the first thing I said was, "That's Edelman. That's what Edelman
I
does."
think he's looking more and more like an Edelman out there. I mean, Edelman was Edelman. We turned him into one of the best slot receivers of all time. But
Yeah, fact. But he played defense. Like, do you remember the days he was getting sacks?
he was a
and
corner,
shit?
dude. He was a corner out there.
Yeah,
It was
right.
crazy.
He wasn't a starter, so that's why that statistic was out there until this year. But yes. So Hunter Renfro, Adam, if you can. The next guy we have to mention is, I mean, I know who you're going to mention, but go ahead. Go ahead. I want to see who
Oh,
you're
the guy that we told people to drop like 2 weeks ago. My guy, my breakout candidate of the year that
That's
I
okay.
gave up on in like 3 of the leagues I had him. I think he's actually Justin Fields' favorite receiver. Darnell Mooney, I think you can go get him back if he was dropped. He had the 5 catches for over 100 yards. He's the downfield threat. Justin Fields has a cannon for an arm, man. They can keep him clean. Whatever they did this week worked a lot better. They're giving him the play action. You know, they actually designed their offense around their quarterback strengths. Imagine that. That's crazy. Bill Lazor called the plays and it worked. I know it was the Lions, but I think that's a really, really good step in the right direction. Allen Robinson, I can't use him until we see some more consistency out of him. But basically what happened was every other quarterback Robinson's played with, they hyper-target him in the intermediate route or short route. Dalton in 5 quarters, in 5 quarters with Dalton, he had like 12 targets, 7 catches, 46 yards. In the quarters he's played with Fields, same amount of targets, but they're less catches but more yards. Like he's a different quarterback. He's gonna hit him down the field. He's not gonna hyper target him. And that was what we were relying on with Allen Robinson, was the elite target share, because he's on a bad team. So if Mooney's gonna be the guy making more of the big plays, it's not good for Allen Robinson. It's good for Darnell Mooney. That's it. I got Robinson on my bench. Another sad boy story right there. What do you think, Moose?
First of all, I own Darnell Mooney in 2 leagues, 3 leagues. I'm sorry, 4. I traded for him in our dynasty league. I traded Tua and CeeDee Lamb for Calvin Ridley. Fucking chance I took Calvin Ridley and Darnell Mooney in a 2nd round pick for next year. So I was a Darnell Mooney guy. I am a Darnell Mooney guy. I think he was on the bubble for me and you for the last 2 weeks to drop, right? I think we were okay with it. I didn't do it in any league. I also have been super nervous to drop and grab anybody on waivers since my Justin Jefferson accident last year. Honest to God, like
Oof.
I might have like PTSD for it. So I might have to be prescribed something in the future. But jokes aside, yeah, Darnell Mooney's a stud. We said coming into the season, we said during camp, it was out that Justin Fields' favorite receiver, and usually his first or second read was Darnell Mooney. We knew he had the talent. He just needed the quarterback to do it. Problem is, Kev, first of all, you should grab him. What I'm about to say shouldn't worry you enough to not grab him. But when Dalton's back, does he start at this point? Do you think Matt Nagy goes back to him?
Well, that's what he said is going to happen, but,
Right.
you know, coaches say a lot of dumb shit all the time.
True. This is true.
Well, it remains to be seen, man, but you might as well grab him if you have someone you can spare, which you probably should in a 12-team league. There should be like a Ty Johnson or someone floating around on your roster, even like a Rondell Moore. In redraft, I'd rather have Mooney. But that trade you made to get him in Dynasty, that could be big. I know you gave up Lamb, but you got Ridley and Mooney, and next year Robinson's not going to be there anymore.
And hopefully
Mooney will be their
Ryan.
most likely be their number one receiver for sure next year. So that's looking good for you.
Yeah.
Did we want to touch on this last guy? He plays for the Jets. Maybe we can just
150
yeah,
million%.
he gets a lot of targets, bro. We've seen it the last couple of years, despite poor quarterback play. So I think Crowder is someone you can add.
Crowder is absolutely somebody I'm looking at. I don't know, Kev, if I'm necessarily adding him this week, but we've seen this dude do it season after season, man. Last year, we were so high on Crowder. We were so high on Crowder. I needed some Visine, dude. Like, it's going to happen again. It was the same thing with Cole Beasley. I told you guys to draft Cole Beasley, and I feel like nobody listened to me because he was so widely available in leagues after week 1 and week 2. It just didn't make sense to me. Crowder's the same guy. Him, Cole Beasley, Hunter Renfro, these guys all play the same type of game. They get open, and their quarterbacks love them for it. Now, am I saying to drop? I don't know. If you have a Terrace Marshall, if you're still holding on to him, drop his ass.
You could probably drop Robbie Anderson too.
Oh,
at this point,
you're so shit.
Looking good.
So the two guys I want to talk. So Crowder, we'll end it on this. He will be a favorite along with Corey Davis for Zach Wilson, and I think
my Elijah Moore breakout may be postponed until next year.
However,
with Crowder coming back with 9 targets and Corey Davis,
right,
he's getting silly volume as well.
I do want to say Elijah Moore in concussion protocol may come back this week, but I don't think they're going to make him fly to England. I just think they'll hold off. So for this weekend, you can pick up Crowder and you can play him if you're in an immediate spot and in an immediate need.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta is a great matchup. So,
fact. So 2 guys I wanted to talk about real quick. I know we're running short on time, so we'll do this quick. First of all, Allen Robinson, sad boys. Obviously, he has been nothing short of a disappointment. Him and Robert Woods are my 2 targets, and we'll get into that a little bit after. But I did want to mention that. So as far as wide receivers, Hunter Renfro, Darnell Mooney, Jamison Crowder, if you have the room to and you really have somebody you can drop. Tight ends, we'll start with Dalton Schultz. And I just like, obviously the target share is there. He's in a prolific offense, and tight end's one of those positions, Kev. We talk about it every single year. We talk about how, I mean, really just crappy this position is, man.
It's such a barren landscape.
Right.
It's a desert out there.
Right. I cannot wait for the day they make a flex spot where it's only running backs or tight ends. Like I'm really am waiting for that. But this guy just week in and week out gets the targets. Besides, the game against the Chargers, where he had 2 targets, he's averaged, 7. So
7.
yeah. So like you have to pick him up. He's obviously a red zone target. He had 2 touchdowns against Philly in week 3, and against Carolina this past week, he had 1. And he finishes top 5 both times. So, like any other tight end, if he is targeted in the red zone, you want him. If you want to go get him immediately and play him. Depending on if you have a Kittle, really, it's only like 3 or 4 guys that I wouldn't play over him. What say you, Kev?
Yeah, I like that, man. And there's another guy that I like just as much
If not more.
right now. His target share is not quite there, though, which is what worries me, is that he's been very, very touchdown happy right now. I'm not sure how much. I don't know how much Josh Allen is really going to keep targeting him in the red zone, but at this rate, dude, 4 in the last 3 games, and he did have 8 targets this past game. You got to add Dawson Knox if you haven't already.
Yep.
He's the number 6 tight end, and you're playing him over pretty much anybody. It was last year, basically what it comes down to. Last year it was Logan Thomas, it was Tunyon, those guys that you grabbed off the waiver wire early in the year and were viable tight ends all year long. I think Dalton Schultz and Dawson Knox could be that guy this year. It wasn't Conklin. Conklin was fool's gold, it looked like. I think I would much rather have both of these guys right now. And if they're still available and you're struggling with a guy like a Logan Thomas or a Tunyon, I would rather have these two over them. So see what you can do to get them on your team. At the very least, Schultz is going to keep seeing that sort of target volume, at least until Gallup comes back. And Dawson Knox is just a red zone monster right now on a great team.
Yeah. Prolific offense, dude, and a clear red zone target for the time being. And like any other tight end, you need touchdowns in order to produce big numbers. Unless you're Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, or maybe Kittle or Hawkinson. I'll give those two a maybe. Jordan DeCarlo's back. He's got a question. My friend wants to know if he should start Mooney over A-Rob. Oh, man. Kev, I'll let you start. I think we knew we were going to get this question eventually. What do you say, man? Week 5, you think you can go with Mooner?
Oh, man. It's a tough call, but I think you can get away with it. I think you can. They're playing the Raiders.
Yeah.
I
know it's
know they have Casey Hayward now.
Yes.
And he's a very good corner. We didn't see much out of Mike Williams or Keenan Allen last night, to be honest. It was the tight ends and it was Eckler. So I think Robinson might get shut down. I think you can. I think you can start Mooney over Robinson this week and hope for that big play connection from Fields. I think you can do that. It wouldn't be too crazy.
No, it wouldn't. It would be like the least craziest thing I've heard all year. This is what I'll say in terms of why you can do it is because Allen Robinson has already done nothing for your friend. Where Darnell Mooney has at least proved that he's looked at by Justin Fields, and I think just based off of that hypothesis, you should go with Darnell Mooney. Yeah, it's a ballsy call. It's a ballsy call for us to tell you to do that. It would be very easy and very safe to just keep saying play Allen Robinson. I think for a while I've done that. But at this point, I wouldn't. I don't think you can stay safe. I think you need to go try to win games, and you're going to have to play riskier players in order to do so. And I think this week, Darnell Mooney's that guy over his teammate, which is you could have paid me $1 million. You could have paid me $1 million before the season started. And if you told me if Allen Robinson by week 6 has less points than Darnell Mooney, I'll give you $10 million, or you can have $1 million now. I would have been like, yeah, 10 mil. Yeah, easy 10 mil.
Easy money. Yeah.
Easy 10 mil. By the end of the season, maybe. We don't even know. So yeah, tell your friend he can play Darnell Mooney, courtesy of the Fantasy Dads, and tell him to, of course, follow and share and like all of our shit. If we get everything right this weekend, he has to do that. You have to give us a name, an address, a phone number, and an email address as well, because I'm very professional. I will email him. Bobby DeCarlo said, "Oh, so we just skipped my question. Seamus Anderson, mad different, yo, with all that fame." Bobby, did I
Wow.
miss your question? Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. Do you see D Hop Nook staying mediocre for the majority of the season, or should I scope
No,
out some trades? No, you're fine. You're
I
fine,
think he'll
Bob.
be all right.
Famous Seamus says no, idiot. Keep one of the best wide receivers in the game. How's that, Bob? How's that for fame? All right, we move on. Also, thanks for joining. All right, real quick, we'll run through the QBs. We may run a little bit over an hour, but I think that's okay. For QBs, we'll go straight into it, man. We will go straight into the gauntlet with who I said on my other podcast could make a huge, huge leap this year. Although in fantasy, I was not willing to take that gamble. But I used to get ridiculed in the other podcasts I used to do, and it was simply because he was in a Gase offense, and I think Gase is the worst NFL coach of all time, maybe besides Nick Saban. So it's Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is a must add. He's been getting better and better, and he's a guy that you can very much play over most of your QBs. You got a Ryan Tannehill, go ahead, pick yourself up a Sam Darnold and play his ass. And there's definitely some others I can mention. Joe Burrow, you got Joe Burrow. Guess what? I'm playing Sam Darnold. At this point in the season, if you were to tell me that Sam Darnold, who's 28% owned, and Daniel Jones have more points than Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Justin Herbert, the list goes on, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, Ryan Tannehill, I'd say you're crazy. But yeah, no, you can pick up Sam Darnold and don't be afraid to play him. At this point in the season, he's just playing unreal. I think a lot of it has to do with the rushing touchdowns. When McCaffrey comes back, that will dip a little bit. But he's obviously going to open that offense up again. And yeah, he's a streamable QB. And I think with the bye weeks coming out soon, you could definitely, that's a guy I'd want to play during my bye week. So yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say about that, Kevin?
Even when McCaffrey was healthy, he still had one rushing touchdown, actually two, because before McCaffrey went out of that game, he had one of them, and he was still 19 points.
Still serviceable.
And then the last two games, he's just blown up. But yeah, man, I think that team is underrated. They still couldn't really get it done in the big moment against Dallas, but I think they have a chance at a playoff spot. I think they can go out and beat the Eagles. They can go out and beat the Vikings. They can go beat the Giants. They can go beat the Falcons. They might rip off 4 in a row here. I think they're a good football team. Got a solid defense. And look at that. Sam Darnold, QB5 through 4 weeks. If you told me that, bro, I would have told you you're crazy.
Right.
And the guy right behind him, QB6, Daniel Jones. Like my co-host. What do you think? What do you think about Daniel Jones, Helen? What is it? What's going on with him? Real deal. This guy goes against the New Orleans Saints, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. Guy's QB6 on the year. Tell me about it.
Yeah, high five. Yeah.
Pick him up.
High five from the mascot.
Pick him up.
From the mascot. That's
the fantasy dog says pick up Daniel Jones.
The fantasy dad dog, the official mascot of our show. I'm gonna need to make a cartoon. That's too funny. This is the type
Can we
of
get
shit.
her on the tune app?
This absolutely. This is the type of shit you get with the fantasy dads that you can't get elsewhere. Yeah, dogs analysis sound like a deal. Sounds like a deal. All right.
I like Daniel Jones this week.
That's fantastic. Daniel Jones is the other name I had here. He's obviously been playing some really good football. QB6 on the year. I mean, what can you say? It's been I'd say more than average with him than it has been with Darnold. Darnold's just coming up, right? But to get 28 points against a defense where I mean, New Orleans defense is they don't suck. Like their offense, we can talk about on Thursday or Sunday. I can't talk about that right now, but yeah. So the next name we got to bring up is Trey Lance. And I'll let you talk a little bit about him. I'm definitely, I would say, a little bit lower on Trey Lance than I am those other two guys, but I think he's a hot commodity right now.
Probably add those two guys first, but just because I don't trust Kyle Shanahan to even let this kid start. Like if Jimmy Garoppolo ends up being all right, like they'll just give the job back to him, and I think that's a terrible thing to do, especially because the team isn't playing up to their potential right now. But this kid won half of football. I know the Debo play was a broken play; he was wide open, but he threw for 157 and 2, and he ran for 40 yards. He's gonna run a lot. He's gonna be like Colin Kaepernick for that team. For me, man, I don't know. I think he's gonna end up running a lot more than Darnold does. But I would have to prioritize adding Darnold first. I think this kid could win you your league if Kyle Shanahan uses his brain. He might not even be ready. He might not even be that great of a real life quarterback, but that doesn't matter. Does not matter. Jalen Hurts right now, he's doing it. They're losing games, and he's just out there using his legs. He's getting it done. Some people don't believe him as a quarterback, but he's getting it done for fantasy. I think Lance can be just like that. With his legs and his arm, with the weapons that he has available. If you go back to Garoppolo, that would be a mistake. Yeah, that would be like Matt Nagy-ish.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would have to agree. Trey Lance is somebody I'm picking up if I need an immediate need at quarterback, and Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold are not available. I think you can play him. I just don't know, Kev, how confident I am with him getting, a whole ton of points and winning my week, right? Like I just don't. I don't know if I trust it that much. I need to see a little bit of the process, and maybe that's to a fault sometimes for me personally. That's just
Yeah,
how I
I
like to
mean,
do things.
he
But
put up 20 in one half this week.
that's
I know
crazy.
Seattle has a bad defense, but
They do. And Arizona doesn't have a great defense, right? And they're going to have to put the ball in the air somehow. They're going to have to do something. Debo Samuel is going to have to get involved. George Kittle, Brandon, I puke. Probably not, but the rest of them, they're going to have to get involved in order to, in order to succeed as a team. And we'll see it through fantasy this next week. I just don't have an immediate need. I jumped for QBs this year. And I thankfully have Daniel Jones to play over Ryan Tannehill in our Dynasty League because he's just been absolutely murdering me. What happened? What happened?
Schwarber,
Home run?
Schwarbomb,
Oh,
right over by the pesky pole
go!
area, 3-0.
Oh, if you're a Yankees fan, you can still follow us, but just know we hate
That's
you.
right, Joey.
We hate
What's
you.
happening, Joe?
Oh, Joe DeMars?
Yeah,
He's not a Yankees fan.
he is. He is. That's all right. We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide today.
I expect more out of you, Joe. Anyhow, listen, we're about an hour in live. Do you want to just go through a couple of buy low, sell highs? Or do you think we should save that for Thursday's show? What do you want to do?
We could do a couple, and you can do a few more on Thursday with Dan.
All right.
Yeah.
Why don't we do a wide receiver and a running back each,
Yeah.
and I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, I got Corey Davis. You selling Corey Davis after his 100-yard and touchdown performance, or would you hold him?
Oh shit! I'm holding Corey Davis, man.
Yeah,
I am.
I think I am too, unless I can get something like a running back that I need.
Yeah, if you can get a running back. But I don't think that's going to happen right now, dude. Just
Probably
seems
not.
like the way everything's going, like running backs are just so valuable. I don't that no, I'm holding on Corey Davis for now. I mean, he's right there with Stephon Diggs, Mike Davis, Calvin Ridley. He's ahead of him and D-Hop. I mean, I know it's been a couple of big games, but this is what we expected out of Corey Davis, and this is why I loved him so much at his ADP this year. So I'm going to hold on him.
Yeah, I think he has a big week against Atlanta. I just hope the travel doesn't make that a boring game, because I think both those teams can score against each other's bad defenses, and it should be entertaining. But those London games always get a little funky.
They do.
They get a little funky, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think I'll hold Corey Davis as well.
All right. For a sell high candidate, are you selling Adam Thielen now while you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the touchdowns were probably never that consistent. He's still got target volume, but if he has another good game this week against Detroit, maybe you could move him for someone you feel is better. Another receiver, another younger, better receiver like a Jamar Chase. If Thielen has another, I mean, after what he did this week with only 7 points, you might not be able to get as much for him, but
right. I'm aiming even more towards people because here's the deal. If you look at the current statistics for PPR right now, he's the wide receiver 11. He's ahead of so many guys that people would never think twice about giving you, right? I mean, like literally guys that were picked in the first and second round of a lot of drafts. If you can get some type of running back game for any wide receiver, do it. Like literally do it. As far as people you could sell them for, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could get a Jamar Chase. You could probably get. I mean, I don't think I'm like trading him for Mike Evans or anything. But you look at the schedules coming up. Look at the schedules rest of the season. If you like a guy more than you do Adam Thielen, who's old, he's over 30. He's over that hump that we like to speak about. Go and get him. As far as running backs go, Kev, do you have anybody that you think you can sell high right now?
ooh, sell high for
I don't think you
running
can
back.
really sell any running backs right now, to be completely honest with you.
No,
But
because I mean, like
but
who
I do have
decided?
one.
Oh, I mean, Cordell Patterson. Yeah, go sell Cordell Patterson. I don't think he catches 3 touchdowns ever again.
He might against the Jets, but yeah,
Hey.
certainly not every game. There is
I
one
fucking
person
love me
that's
some bread.
If you guys didn't see,
Please follow the TikTok.
you guys have to follow the TikTok.
Where did that sound come from, dude?
You know what's crazy about our TikTok too, and thank you. If you're still on the stream, please share, please like, please follow our socials because we're funny as hell, and we have no shame in hiding that fact. Each of us have such a different comedic relief, right? Like it's just I mean, we've been doing the face replace thing on these players, and that's funny as hell, right? I love every single one of those. They're all hysterical, but we all have our different comedic reliefs, and I think it makes for just a wonderful TikTok channel. And we're still batting, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, Garrett Cole is he's losing his shit right now.
Trash. He is
He's
trash.
sweating. There's 2 on. Nobody out, I don't think.
Let's go. Where's the spider tack, Garrett? You loser. Love that. But
Right.
anyhow, all right, cool, great. So I think the one guy you can sell high on running back is, I know this is gonna sound crazy, Kev, is James Conner. He's gotten
yeah.
and here's why. He's gotten 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 games. Last 2 games, he got 4 touchdowns. That's an immediate sell for me. You can definitely pick up a wide receiver for him. You probably drafted him or picked him up, so you probably don't need him. If you do, you're probably a David Montgomery and Christian McCaffrey owner somehow. But otherwise, I don't think you need him. I think you sell high.
Yeah, I don't think
and
that.
as high as you can go. Like as literally whatever somebody offers you for James Conner, you should pretty much take.
I don't think that touchdown rate is sustainable.
No. And if it is, I'll be the first to admit that I'm wrong about it. Like I will, because I even thought about making a trade. The trade involved 2 bigger players, but I even was like, do I involve James Conner? Do I trade for James Conner? I think the answer is no. Although he has been getting those touches, and I'm definitely a little bit worried about Chase. But he'll be.
Edmonds has just been super solid.
Yep.
In the receiving game, that it doesn't even matter right now. But imagine if he got some touchdowns.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
She's RB10 right now, and he hasn't scored. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's like Christian that's what Christian McCaffrey would be if he was just a little bit worse or just got 5 less touches a game. I love how your dog's just watching the game, by the way. That's
she's chilling right now, dude.
Yeah, she is loving the Sox.
She said her piece about Daniel Jones, and she was out. Now she's just watching Garrett Cole implode.
Love that. Give me the spider tack, Garrett. All right. Well, listen, Kev, I'm gonna be honest. Hour and 15 minutes in.
I
I don't
think
want to go.
we hit on a lot of stuff, dude.
Yeah, we hit on a lot of stuff. We'll get back to you Thursday, me and Kev. However, tomorrow night, Wild Card Wednesday with Rhino. I believe he'll be going on at 7. We'll keep you guys updated. We'll have a post out to make sure what time he's going out. Could be 8 or 7. It's one of those 2 times. But in regards to everything that we talked about tonight, I think we covered a lot. The injuries, the sad boys. There's a lot of boys making us sad. Ain't no way, boy.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk too. I forgot all about him because he's been so useless. Very
he's
sad boy.
You can drop him.
Moves, don't
Yeah,
make me
you
more
can
sad.
absolutely drop Brandon Ayuk. Gross. In regards to anything else, we talked about the waiver ads. If you guys have any other questions before tomorrow night, let us know. Ping us on any of our socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just look up the Fantasy Dads, and our logo that you see here will be there. Give us a follow, give us a shout, ask us some questions. Share us, tell your friends about us. We're just your local dudes trying to do a waiver, a fantasy show, and we absolutely love it. We're doing it for the love of the game. Okay, we're like you guys. We're like the blue collars doing it for the love of the game. So do it with us. Kev, absolutely fantastic show. I think we covered a lot, man. And I will see you again Thursday night. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Wild Card Wednesdays with Rhino.
Wild Card Wednesdays. All right, guys.